Good afternoon. Are we ready to begin? So before we start with the substantive matters, I will give the floor to the Secretariat for some logistical information.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would just like to highlight a number of CRPs have been received from parties, and they are uploaded onto the in-session documents tab. We have CRP 1 on financial mechanism submitted by the European Union and its member states, Brazil, Norway, and Switzerland, as announced this morning. But we also have CRP 4, advancing work related to the mercury-added cosmetics, which is a submission by Gabon on behalf of the Africa region. We have CRP 5, which is a feasibility of mercury-free alternatives for manufacturing vinyl chloride monomer. It's a submission by the European Union and its member states, Norway, and the United States of America. We also have CRP 6, a request to extend the exemptions pursuant to paragraph 6 of Article 6, which is a submission by India. And finally, we have CRP 2 on mercury compounds, which is a submission by Australia, Canada, Japan, and Norway. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Brenda. So just to recap, if I got it right, so we have CRP 1, CRP 4, 5, 6, and then we have 2. So we now begin with agenda item 4B, mercury-added products and manufacturing processes in which mercury or mercury compounds are used. This particular agenda item has 4 sub-items. First one, small Roman 1, are amendments to Annex A. COP5 decided that a proposed amendment to Annex A Part 1 and another proposed amendment to Annex A Part 2, both on dental amalgam, be considered at COP6. After this sub-item, we will move to small Roman 3, consideration of the feasibility of mercury-free alternatives for manufacturing vinyl chloride monomer. COP5 requested the Secretariat to prepare a report on this matter for the consideration of COP6. To note is that if the COP establishes that mercury-free catalysts based on existing processes have become technically and economically feasible, parties are not to allow the use of mercury in this manufacturing process 5 years after such decision was taken by COP. The third sub-item is small Roman 2, cosmetics listed in Part 1 of Annex A. COP5 requested the Secretariat to prepare a report on challenges in preventing the manufacture, import, and export of cosmetics listed in Annex A Part 1, as well as current or proposed measures to address those challenges to be considered by COP6. The fourth and last sub-item is small Roman 4, extensions for exemptions. Article 6, paragraph 6, provides that the COP may, at the request of a party, decide to extend an exception to the phase-out date in Annex A or Annex B for 5 years or a shorter period. Such requests have been submitted by Bangladesh and Thailand for the COP to consider. And India also submitted a conference room paper. Since these are distinct matters, I would like to deal with these 4 sub-items one by one in the following way. First, I will invite the Secretariat to introduce documents related to the amendments to Annex A. Then I will open the floor for discussion. And then I will invite the Secretariat to introduce documents related to vinyl chloride monomer production, followed by discussion. Then we do the same with cosmetics, and then extension for exemptions. So now I'll give the floor to the Secretariat to introduce the documents related to the amendments to Annex A.
Thank you, President. I'm introducing document 6 and INF 10, and also INF 31 at 1, submitted by WHO, which may also be relevant to this item. COP5 in decision MC 5/4 decided to amend Part 2 of Annex A by adding a provision that parties that have not yet phased out dental amalgam shall submit to the Secretariat a national action plan or a report on progress they have made or are making to phase down or phase out dental amalgam every 4 years as part of national reporting. INF 10 explains the entry into force of this amendment, which is 21st of April this year for all parties except for one party that made notification under subparagraph 3b of Article 23(7) and parties that made a declaration under paragraph 5 of Article 30. COP5 in the same decision decided to consider the following amendment proposals at COP6. Firstly, to add dental amalgam to Part 1 of Annex A so that manufacture, import, and export are phased out by 2030. Secondly, to add a provision in Part 2 of Annex A about the use of dental amalgam in government insurance policies and programs. The proposed text includes a number of square brackets to be considered at the COP. The COP may wish to consider the proposed amendments to Annex A and decide as appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Secretariat. I now open the floor for reflections on the matters presented under this agenda item. I will give priority in the speakers list to parties. I will take the first intervention from the USA.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to turn the floor over to my head of delegation, Secretary for Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy.
Hi, I'm Robert F. Kennedy, Jr., and I send my greetings to all the distinguished delegates at the Minamata Convention. I had hoped to be with you today, but the government shutdown means that I couldn't do that. The Minamata Convention was born from a shared moral conviction that no human being should suffer from exposure to mercury. You came together to protect future generations from this potent neurotoxin, and I'm looking forward to continued progress. Article 4 of the convention calls on parties to cut mercury use by phasing out listed mercury-added products. But in 2010, as the treaty took shape, negotiators made a major exception. Thimerosal-containing vaccines were carved out of the regulation. The same treaty that began to phase out mercury in lamps and cosmetics chose to leave it in products injected into babies, pregnant women, and the most vulnerable among us. We have to ask why. Why do we hold a double standard for mercury? Why do we call it dangerous in batteries, in over-the-counter medications and makeup, but acceptable in vaccines and dental fillings? Thimerosal is a mercury-based preservative that has never undergone proper safety testing in humans. Hundreds of peer-reviewed studies identify it as a potent neurotoxin, a mutagen, a carcinogen, and an endocrine disruptor. Thimerosal's own label requires it to be treated as hazardous material and warns against ingestion. There is not a single study that proves it safe. That's why in July of this year, the United States closed the final chapter on the use of thimerosal as a vaccine preservative, something that should have happened years ago. I want to be clear, it's inexcusable that governments around the world still allow mercury-based compounds in healthcare when safe alternatives exist. Now that America has removed mercury from all vaccines, I call on every global health authority and every party to this convention to do the same. Manufacturers have confirmed that they can produce mercury-free, single-dose vaccines without interrupting supply. There is no excuse for inaction or holding stubbornly to the status quo. Let's honor and protect humanity and our children and creation from mercury, and let's act in the true spirit of the Minamata Convention, the integrity of this historic treaty, and to ensure that no child anywhere in the world is ever exposed to this deadly neurotoxin again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The United States would also like to express its appreciation to the Africa region and others, including stakeholders, who have continued to express continued interest in reducing the use of dental amalgam. As noted by the Secretariat, the Africa region has proposed 2 amendments related to dental amalgam. The first is to add dental amalgam to Part 1 of Annex A with a phase-out date of 2030. The second amendment is to add an obligation to Part 2 of Annex A to take measures to not allow or to phase down the use of dental amalgam in government insurance policies and programs, or alternatively, in government policies and programs. With respect to the first African amendment, the United States is pleased to express its support for adding dental amalgam to Part 1 of Annex A. This represents an evolution in our position. Under the leadership of Secretary Kennedy, it is the intention of the United States to take domestic actions that would allow the United States to implement such an amendment consistent with Articles 27 and 30 of the Convention. The United States looks forward to working with parties and others to achieve this objective. While the United States supports a Part 1 listing for dental amalgam, we recognize that there may still be an interest in considering opportunities to augment Part 2 of Annex A, as proposed by the African region, in order to promote further reductions in the use of dental amalgam for certain parties. From our perspective, these could include increasing the number of overall existing measures that each party must implement under Part 2, adding to the list of measures parties can choose to do, such as reducing the public procurement of amalgam in favor of other treatment materials, producing an inventory or a data sheet of information identifying the production, use, and trade of dental amalgam, or making certain existing elective measures mandatory. The United States looks forward to contributing and furthering this discussion in a contact group. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The USA, the European Union has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. The European Union and its member states thank the Secretariat for preparing the meeting documents. We are ready to engage in discussions on amending Annex A to the Convention, aimed at strengthening restrictions on the manufacture, import, and export of dental amalgam. In the European Union, the mercury regulation, so European Union law, prohibits the use and export from the EU of dental amalgam since the 1st of January this year. In addition, it also prohibits the import and manufacture of dental amalgam as of the 1st of July next year. Under European Union law, by way of derogation, the import, use, and manufacture of dental amalgam is allowed for specific medical needs of the patient when deemed strictly necessary by the dental practitioner. The prohibition of the manufacture, import, and export of dental amalgam has been discussed since COP4. The time has come to reach a decision, and we stand ready to discuss options for the entry on dental amalgam in Annex A. Thank you.
Thank you very much to the delegate of the European Union. Next is Thailand.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good afternoon. As Thailand takes the floor for the first time, allow me, on behalf of the Royal Thai government, to extend our heartfelt congratulations on your election as President of the 6th meeting of the Conference of the Parties to the Minamata Convention on Mercury. We also wish to express our sincere appreciation to the government and people of Switzerland for their warm hospitality, and to Executive Secretary and her team for their tireless efforts in organizing this important gathering. Mr. President, Thailand remains steadfast in its commitment to the objectives of the Minamata Convention to protect human health and the environment from anthropogenic emission and release of mercury and mercury compounds. We believe that process under this convention must continue to be guided by scientific evidence, practical implementation, and a spirit of shared but differentiated responsibility. In this regard, Thailand reaffirms its position to maintain the phase-down measures for dental amalgam as contained in Annex A, Part 2. We believe these measures offer a balanced and pragmatic approach, ensuring both environmental protection and access to essential dental care. We continue to implement the phase-down of dental amalgam as agreed under the Convention and through additional actions adopted by COP5. At the same time, dental amalgam remains necessary within our universal health coverage and social security schemes, which safeguard equitable and affordable dental treatment of our citizens. Mr. President, Thailand will continue to strengthen its national efforts to reduce mercury use and release through integrated and sustainable approaches, including technical innovation, capacity building, and cooperation among all relevant stakeholders. We stand ready to work constructively with all parties and partners to ensure that the Convention's implementation remains both effective and equitable. Thank you.
Thank you, Thailand. Where are you, Thailand? I tried to locate you, but okay. I try to identify everybody, but sometimes it gets very difficult. Thank you for that intervention. Next on the list is Sierra Leone.
Thank you, Mr. President, for giving me the floor to speak on behalf of the African region. The Africa region is still emphasizing the proposed draft decision to list dental amalgam in Annex A, Part 1, with a phase-out date of 2030, and supports additional obligatory measures in Part 2 of Annex A to end government programs on insurance covering dental amalgam. The African region also requests the Secretariat to provide technical assistance to parties that have not yet phased out dental amalgam to enable them to submit a national action plan or a report based on available information with respect to progress they have made or are making to phase down or phase out dental amalgam every 4 years as part of their national reporting pursuant to Article 21. The African region also requests that discussions on dental amalgam amendment proposals be prioritized in the contact group work on technical matters during this COP, since these proposals a legacy or unfinished business from COP5. The Africa region further reminds parties to the convention that national action plan or report should be submitted with the next full national report, which is due by 31st December 2025. Non-mercury alternatives to dental amalgam are currently available, technically and economically feasible, and guarantee environmental and risks and benefits as indicated in a recent report from WHO. Mercury measures report has shown that one of the largest uses of mercury in products is dental amalgam, which uses over 300 metric tons of mercury annually, most of which is likely to either enter the human system or the environment, thereby polluting. 1, air from cremation and dental clinic emissions and sludge incineration. 2, polluting water via dental clinic releases not caught by separators, landfill runoff, and human waste. 3, polluting land through landfills, burials, and sewage sludge spread on land. Developing countries, including the African countries, with less infrastructure to collect and transport even the small numbers of separators caught, are particularly burdened by these toxic products. The only way to prevent this large amount of mercury flow into the environment is to phase out dental amalgam use. Furthermore, there is evidence of illicit flow of mercury salvaged from dental amalgam into the ASGM sector, a phenomenon which is even going to get worse as we draw close to the end date of Article 3.4 on the 15-year moratorium on mercury mining being conducted before the commencement of the entry into force of the Convention. A phase-out of dental amalgam will enhance the effective implementation of Article 7 of and make artisanal and small-scale mining in countries with significant ASGMs safer. The African region believes that the need to set a phase-out date is long overdue, owing to the following reasons. 1, the use of non-mercury alternatives to dental amalgam is widespread and has entirely replaced dental amalgam in countries that have phased out dental amalgam. 2, technically, studies have shown that composite fillings can even last longer than dental amalgam. There is also sufficient evidence that non-mercury alternatives preserve more tooth structure than dental amalgam. Furthermore, alternatives prevent further dental caries as they release fluoride over time. Finally, composites has been shown to be easier to repair than dental amalgam, thereby making it cost-effective. 3, according to the WHO, both composite and glass ionomer are cost-effective as the price difference for dental restoration using alternatives is relatively small owing to improvements in mercury-free fillings and techniques. Replacement of dental amalgam with mercury-free alternatives also eliminates the high environmental cost of amalgam. Evidence shows that when the environmental cost is factored in, amalgams is more expensive than composites. 4, finally, after many years of intensive study and use of non-mercury alternatives to amalgam, have proven to be safe for both the environment and human health. Glass ionomers in alternative restorative treatments, ART, which cost half as much as amalgam, could be used in areas with no access to electricity, thereby increasing accessibility. ART also has an added benefit of eliminating the possibility of airborne disease transmission of illness as it does not generate aerosols. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you to the Africa Group. United Kingdom.
Thank you, Mr. President. Since this is the first time the UK is taking the floor, I would like to thank the Government of Switzerland for their kind hospitality. I would also like to thank you and the Secretariat for your work to prepare and organise this COP. The UK is actively committed to the phase down of dental amalgam and has been safely managing the use of dental amalgam in dentistry for a number of years. We have, however, listened carefully to the discussions at COP5 and have been closely monitoring global environmental progress on this issue. We note that there are strong environmental reasons for reducing our global reliance on dental amalgam, and that alternatives are emerging which present an opportunity to transition away in many patient cases. But we clearly see there will remain some medical scenarios in which the use of dental amalgam may remain necessary. For example, those with allergies to alternatives or with some disabilities. We also see that the cost of amalgam alternatives, their longevity and application is a factor in any decision to phase out the use of dental amalgam. The UK is proud to offer a free healthcare service. Our National Health Service, or NHS, continues to deliver excellent, equitable care, and we are working hard to ensure it offers the best healthcare possible for the people of the UK, and will continue to do so in the future. With this in mind, Mr. President, we find that the proposed phase-out date of 2030 comes too soon and does not take into account these wider factors. However, we are willing to have further discussions on this proposal in a contact group, and will come to this discussion constructively and with good faith to find a way forward on this decision. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much to the UK. Norway is the next.
Thank you, Mr. President. Norway supports the proposal on dental amalgam by the Africa region as submitted by Burkina Faso and Botswana at COP5. Dental amalgam is the largest use area of mercury-added product worldwide, and we see the need to phase it out. It is Norway's experience that mercury-free alternatives to dental amalgam are available for all uses in all countries. We note that COP5 was unable to reach agreement on this topic, and we support continuing the discussion in a contract group should one be established, with the aim of reaching a compromise on this issue at this COP. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Norway. The Philippines.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Since it is the first time that the Philippines is taking the floor, allow me to extend our utmost appreciation to the Secretariat, headed by the Executive Secretary, the Swiss government for efficiently and graciously hosting this conference, and to the COP6 President for chairing this conference. The Philippines, through its Department of Health, has phased out the use of dental amalgams and capsules for dental restoration procedures in dental clinics and schools way back in May 29, 2023. After this date, dental amalgam and its capsules, as well as liquid mercury, were excluded from the list of registrable medical devices in the Philippines. The Philippines recognizes the significant risk that mercury dental amalgam poses to human health. Thus, we support the addition of the proposed inclusion of dental amalgam to Part 1 of Annex A with phase-out date of 2030, and the addition of provisions on dental amalgam in Part 2 of Annex A. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you very much to the delegate of the Philippines for that intervention. Next in line is Uganda.
Thank you, Mr. President, for giving me the floor. Uganda is in the position of Africa region in regard to the present note on amendments to Part 1 of Annex A with regard to dental amalgam as articulated by Sierra Leone. Mr. President, Uganda wishes to emphasize that the waste management burden borne by recipient countries out of generation of mercury-contaminated medical waste arising from use of dental amalgam, in addition to the long-term exposure that its population has had in the use of dental amalgam. Uganda therefore welcomes the draft decision on proposed amendment of Part 1 of Annex A by adding dental amalgam to Part 1 of Annex A with the phase-out date of 2030. Mr. President, Uganda requests for targeted GEF and specific international program financing towards realizing the proposed phase-out date. In addition to efforts from UN countries, teams, including WHO, in strengthening national measures to adopt mercury alternatives to dental restoration. Mr. President, similar interventions by UN country offices have yielded positive results in phasing out medical devices that contain mercury in public sector healthcare facilities ahead of their phase-out dates. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Uganda. Switzerland has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Switzerland has restricted the manufacture, the use, and the import of and export of dental amalgams. Our experience with regulating dental amalgam has shown that the alternatives offer many advantages: greater safety, easier handling, better aesthetic, improved adhesion and repairability, while also preventing contamination of water and generation of highly toxic waste. Switzerland is aware that in some countries, mercury amalgam remain the only available option to provide essential dental care. And this will necessitate a stepwise approach to transition toward mercury-free technology. Nevertheless, we remain convinced for the protection of public health and the reduction of environmental emissions, it is important to set a phase-out date, while allowing sufficient flexibility to accommodate different national circumstances. We are convinced that this COP needs to take action and not postpone to issue further. We therefore support the establishment of a contact group to discuss the possible amendments to Part 1 and 2 of the Annex A of the Convention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Switzerland. Next in line is Iran.
Thank you, Mr. President. Iran, regarding the draft decision MC6/6, which proposed 2030 as the deadline for the phase-out of dental amalgam, while the Islamic Republic of Iran supports the global efforts to reduce mercury use, it emphasizes that an immediate phase-out could harm public health and access to affordable dental care. Iran underscores that dental amalgam remains essential for cost-effective, durable, and accessible dental treatment, especially in underserved regions. Eliminating it prematurely without viable and affordable substitute risk widening inequality in oral health care. However, the safety and environmental impacts of many alternative materials, particularly plastic-based composites, are not yet fully understood, and further scientific research is needed to ensure they do not pose a long-term health in environmental risk. Iran has already taken sufficient steps to minimize mercury pollution, including banning amalgam imports and mandating the use of amalgam separators in clinics. The country advocates for a balanced, evidence-based approach that aligns with national healthcare needs and allows sufficient time for technological adaptation. Finally, Iran calls for international financial and technical support to help developing countries research, produce, and implement safe alternatives. extending the deadline beyond 26 would enable a smoother, more equitable and scientifically sound transition while maintaining access to essential dental services. My delegation is ready to be engaged constructively in the contact group on discussion on this issue. I thank you.
Thank you, Iran. Next is Zambia.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished delegates, since Zambia is taking the floor for the first time, allow me on behalf of the government of the Republic of Zambia to join others in expressing our sincere appreciation to the government of Switzerland for once again hosting this sixth meeting of the Conference of the Parties to the Minamata Convention on Mercury. We also extend our gratitude to the Secretariat and to you, Mr. President, for your able leadership and excellent organization of this meeting. Mr. President, the Zambian delegation aligns itself fully with the position of the African region in support of the proposed amendment to Part A of Annex A of the Convention. We underscore the importance of ending the use of dental amalgam in government insurance and healthcare programs. This is consistent with the Convention's objective to protect human health and the environment from mercury emissions and releases. Mr. President, dental amalgam remains one of the mercury-added products of concern to our country. In response to this, Zambia has undertaken several initiatives to ensure that it is phased out. In 2001, like we have said it before, the Ministry of Health partnered with Teeth Savers International to replace dental amalgam with mercury-free materials such as glass, enamel, cement, and composite resins. This program, which began with 6-year-old children, has since been expanded nationwide. Currently, Mr. President, the majority of government and private dental clinics no longer use dental amalgam, and the government is also in the process of revising the dental training curriculum to include mercury-free alternatives. Mr. President, Zambia looks forward to engaging constructively in the discussions of the contact group, should it be established, and to contributing to a successful outcome of this meeting. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Australia?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm glad you could spot us quite easily in the front here. As is the first time Australia is taking the floor, we'd like to take this opportunity to very much thank the Secretariat for their excellent organisation, to you, Mr. President, for your leadership, and to the Swiss Government for their generous hospitality. In considering this issue, we particularly welcome the flexibility expressed by the UK and the US today in moving towards the phase-out of dental amalgam. Australia would like to align ourselves with the interventions made by the European Union, Sierra Leone on behalf of the Africa Group, and others in supporting a clear and time-bound pathway towards a phase-out of dental amalgam, and ideally by 2030. We recognise the progress achieved under the existing phase-down measures and commend the efforts of parties and stakeholders in advancing safe and effective alternatives. In Australia, we've seen really encouraging shifts in practice and consumer preference, demonstrating that a transition away from mercury-based materials is feasible. A 2030 phase-out provides an appropriate balance of ambition and practicality. It sends a strong signal to industry, practitioners, and the general public, while allowing sufficient time for parties to transition away to alternatives. In this spirit, Australia supports the proposed 2030 phase-out date and efforts to embed further measures to support the phase-down. We look forward to working constructively with parties to resolve this matter at COP6. Thank you.
Thank you. Bangladesh. Where is Bangladesh? Oh,
Thank you,
there.
Mr. Chair.
Also in the first row.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. Since this is the first time Bangladesh is taking the floor, we would like to express our deep gratitude to the host country, Switzerland, and the Secretariat for organizing this COP. Bangladesh welcomes and supports the African proposal to amend the Minamata Convention by adding dental amalgam to Part 1 of Annex A, thereby prohibiting the manufacture, import, and export of dental amalgam by 31st December 2030. This amendment would align with the Convention's objectives to protect human health and the environment from mercury releases and would provide a clear, time-bound framework for global phase-out. I would also like to add that Bangladesh has already in the verge of phasing out dental amalgam in my country. And as a developing country, we are also using healthier alternatives at the moment, and it is included in our curriculum, which will be effective in 2027. Thank you very much. We would seek support from everyone on this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Bangladesh. Now I turn to Brazil.
Thank you, Mr. President, for giving us the floor. Brazil recognizes the importance of advancing towards the elimination of mercury use in dental amalgam in line with the objectives of the Minamata Convention. We are pleased to inform that Brazil is in a position to support the global phase-out by 2030 as proposed in this draft decision. According to data from our Ministry of Health, between 2019 and 2024, the use of dental amalgam in Brazil decreased significantly, from about 5% to approximately 2% of all restorative dental procedures nationwide. This progress reflects continuous advances in the use of alternative materials such as composite resins and glass ionomers, supported by the expansion of the National Oral Health Policy, called Brasil Sorridente in Portuguese, and by the strengthening of oral health teams under our unified health system, known as SUS, which today includes more than 34,000 teams. It is also important to note that since 2017, Brazil has used only encapsulated amalgam, ensuring its safe handling and minimizing occupational and environmental exposure throughout the process. Brazil is proud of the SUS, which provides free and universal access to dental care as a part of a comprehensive public health policy for all the Brazilians. This structure requires us to progressively transition towards mercury-free dentistry while ensuring that no one is left behind. However, these transitions presents specific challenges for large public systems that have a constitutional obligation to guarantee full dental care to their populations. An abrupt ban on amalgam use in government programs before safe, effective, and affordable alternatives are fully available could compromise access to essential restorative treatments and jeopardize oral health outcomes. Such a situation would be incompatible with our social and constitutional principles. For these reasons, Brazil, as we mentioned earlier, supports the inclusion of dental amalgam in Part 1 of Annex A with a global phased-out date of 2030, which provides a clear and realistic pathway for transition. At the same time, we cannot support the proposed immediate phase-out for government programs under Part 2, as it would undermine a predictable and sustainable transition that ensures continued access to dental care for all. Thank you, Mr. President.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much. Brazil, I now call on the delegation of Mexico. Thank you very much, President. Mexico is grateful for the proposal from the African region to amend Annex of the Convention on Measures to Deal with Dental Amalgam. Our country has made considerable efforts to gradually replace dental amalgam through using an instrument called Agreement on an Instruction to Social Security and Health Institutes of the Federal Government and encouragement to public institutions within our federal structures. Through that, we introduced a program to gradually replace dental amalgam and thereby better implement the terms of the Minamata Convention on the issue. We are grateful to see detailed reports which make it possible for the parties to better evaluate progress made on the implementation of the Convention. Thank you.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Mexico, for that contribution.
India.
Thank you, Mr. President. Since India is taking the floor for the first time, on behalf of India, we would like to congratulate you, Mr. President, Bureau, and the Secretariat of Minamata Convention on Mercury for convening this conference. We would also like to thank the government of Switzerland for their generous hospitality and hosting this conference. India supports the measures already included in Part 2 of Annex A to be taken by parties to phase down the use of dental amalgam, and that parties shall take into account their domestic circumstances and relevant international guidance in line with paragraph 3 of Article 4 of the Convention. India also supports to include the additional measures for submission of National Action Plan regarding the progress made to phase down or phase out dental amalgam every 4 years as part of national reporting. In the context of the present proposal to phase out dental amalgams, the high cost and lack of quality control of amalgam alternative restorative materials also needs to be considered. Unless significant measures are taken to provide cheaper, long-lasting and easily available alternatives, phasing out of dental amalgam should not be considered. This may lead to risk of widening oral health inequalities, especially in developing countries. Therefore, India requests the proposal of phasing out dental amalgam by 2030 as part of Part 1 of Annex A of the Convention be further deliberated, reviewed and considered in light of the national circumstances and common but differentiated responsibilities and capabilities as enshrined in the principles of Rio Declaration and preamble of the Minamata Convention on Mercury. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Jordan, please.
شكرا سيد الرئيس. بداية أود
Thank you. To begin with, Jordan would like to thank the Convention Secretariat for having organized this conference. We are also grateful to the government of Switzerland for hosting it. We should like to put on record our support for the Convention and for the work accomplished by these conferences. And that includes on dealing with the issue of mercury amalgam used in dentistry. We believe that this is a particularly important step forward. We already have a plan in Jordan to gradually withdraw dental amalgam from the market, and that between now and 2030, we hope all our relevant bodies in the public and private sectors will help and support us with this. The plan also includes a set of goals which we hope to attain between now and 2033. They will contribute to sustainably improving the living and working conditions of our people. In implementing this plan, we are working closely with our international partners too, and we are grateful for any assistance given to us to help us achieve our goals. thus protecting the health of our people and the Jordanian environment. We support the proposed amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan. So we still have several parties. We are behind in our schedule. We know that this is an African region proposal, so I would ask for the indulgence of the African countries who are left to speak to be brief, as we know this is an Africa region proposal, and Sierra Leone expressed very well what is in the proposed amendment. Nevertheless, I will still give you the floor. This is the first day, and we don't want to push, too far on the first day of this COP. Next in line, we have Singapore.
Thank you, Mr. President. Since this is Singapore's first time taking the floor, we would like to take the opportunity to thank you and the Secretariat for the successful running of the COP thus far, and the Government of Switzerland for hosting this meeting. Singapore acknowledges the importance of addressing environmental and health concerns resulting from the use of dental amalgam. However, it is equally important to consider the clinical and cost implications associated with fully phasing out dental amalgam, which may pose significant challenges. In terms of clinical applications, dental amalgams are more effective in specific scenarios, particularly where moisture control is challenging or restorative conditions are less favorable. In terms of costs, additional costs associated with using mercury-free alternatives, such as longer chair time and higher failure rates requiring retreatment, should be considered. This could lead to increased long-term costs for patients and healthcare systems. Should there be consensus on a phase-out approach, we should be cognizant that considerable time would be required to develop options with comparable performance and cost effectiveness as dental amalgams. We look forward to further discussions on this matter in the contact group. Thank you.
Thank you, Singapore. Kenya has the floor.
Being the first time that Kenya is taking the floor, and also the first time speaking as a party, the government of Kenya appreciates the government and people of Switzerland for the warm welcome. We also thank the Bureau and Secretariat for the well-organized meeting, and to you, Mr. President, for steering the meeting. We fully align and support the submission made on behalf of the AGN by Sierra Leone. The government of Kenya is supporting a phase down of dental amalgam. In Kenya, health authorities and dentists are increasingly using alternative restorative materials that are mercury-free, such as composite resin and glass ionomer cements. A dental amalgam face-down training manual has been developed and implemented in Kenya. The Kenya National Oral Health Strategic Plan 2022-2026 includes specific strategies for facing down dental amalgam through set national objectives aimed at minimizing its use, promoting the use of cost-effective and clinically effective mercury-free alternatives, and encouraging professional organizations and dental schools to incorporate dental amalgam programs into the curricula. We therefore support the proposed amendment and the probable establishment of a contact group that my delegation will be ready to constructively engage in. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. I couldn't see where Kenya is located, but I know that voice very well. Oh, there you are, Linda. Maldives has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Maldives supports the proposed amendment to Annex A to include a global phase-out date for dental amalgam. We have already eliminated the use of dental amalgam in all public and private healthcare facilities under our mercury-free policy for healthcare 2018, in line with our national commitment to protect human health and the marine environment from mercury pollution. Our experience shows that the transition to mercury-free dental restorative materials is feasible, cost-effective, and well accepted by the public. As a large ocean state whose economy and food security depend on clean ocean, we view the phase-out of mercury use in healthcare as a critical step in safeguarding our people and the ecosystems. We therefore urge all parties to support the proposed 2030 global phase-out of dental amalgam, also ensuring that the countries requiring technical and financial support receive the necessary assistance through the SIP and other financial mechanisms under the Convention. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Maldives. Burkina Faso.
Merci bien. Thank you very much, President. Since this is our first time taking the floor in today's meeting, we wish to welcome this, the holding of this conference, and we would like to thank the Swiss government and the Secretariat for the convention for all the arrangements made to facilitate Burkina Faso's participation. Mr. President, regarding this particular item on dental amalgam, we are fully aligned with the proposal made by the African Group, which seeks to achieve the goals of this convention. Our country is of the view that there are ways to prevent exposure to mercury and to gradually phase out the use of dental amalgam. This is all the more justified because as a developing country and as an economy in transition, we do have gaps and even the lack of certain infrastructure to eliminate, store, and transport to facilitate the elimination of this waste. We therefore insist on the need for stakeholders, especially the Secretariat of the Convention, the World Health Organization, and the United Nations Environmental Program, and other stakeholders as well, to collaborate to promote and facilitate access to alternatives. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Suriname.
Thank you, Mr. President. Suriname reaffirms our commitment to Article 4. For us, this is not a future goal, but an active, on-the-ground implementation priority. We are pleased to report our national assessment is complete, our action plan is in place, and our national legislation to ban mercury-added products is on track for the fourth quarter of 2026. With this national progress as our context, Suriname offers its full support for the key proposal before us at COP6. We firmly support the African region proposal to phase out dental amalgam. We welcome the report on cosmetics and support the call for a global platform to fight illegal online trade. And we agree that any exemption must be time-bound and tie up to a concrete phase-out plan. Mr. President, our experience reveals a critical implementation gap in the convention. Success in Article 4, banning MAPs, directly creates a new and costly challenge for Article 11 on mercury waste. As we successfully working on reducing the inflow of mercury, we are left with the legacy of lamp, batteries, and medical devices that we must now manage. Stopping the inflow is only half the battle. Therefore, Suriname strongly advocates for an innovative and target financial solution. We call for a dedicated funding window within the JEF and the SIP, specifically for projects that bridge this gap. Projects that link MAPS phase out with the creation of the required waste management infrastructure. This is the only way to ensure our collective success on Article 4 does not become a new environmental crisis under Article 11. We are ready to act and ready to partner. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Suriname, and thank you also for addressing the three sub-items in one intervention. Now Ghana has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Since it is the first time we are taking the floor, the Ghana delegation wishes to extend our sincere appreciation to the people and the government of Switzerland for their warm hospitality. We also want to thank the Minamata Convention Secretariat for the hard work they have put in place to make this sixth meeting of conference of parties to the Minamata Convention possible. Mr. President, Ghana aligns with the statement presented by Sierra Leone on behalf of the African region. In particular, this delegation believes that the need to set a phase-out date for dental amalgam is long overdue. This is because alternatives to dental amalgam are available and have proven technically to be far more superior in efficiency than amalgam. They have also been shown to be economically less costly and safer to human health than dental amalgam. In conclusion, our delegation looks forward to a fruitful deliberation at the contact group and hope that at the end of this meeting, we can all leave this place knowing that we did our best to safeguard human health and the environment from mercury pollution. I thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Ghana, Tanzania has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Since Tanzania is taking the floor for the first time, may I take this opportunity to congratulate you, Mr. President, the hosting country, the Bureau, and the Secretariat for the preparation of this meeting. The United Republic of Tanzania aligns with the submission from Africa region on dental amalgam. Tanzania has taken several measures to face down dental amalgam fillings, including formulation of mercury regulations of 2020, which prohibits the use of dental amalgam in bulk form, restrict the dental amalgam to children and pregnant women, and provide gradual phase-out of dental amalgam fillings. The use of non-dental amalgam in most of our hospitals has placed mercury use in health subsector. Therefore, Tanzania supports the proposed draft decision to list dental amalgam in Annex A, Part 1, which phase out date of 2030, and also supports the additional obligatory measures in Part 2 of Annex A to end government programs on insurance covering dental amalgam. I submit, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Tanzania. Ahora tiene la palabra Uruguay.
Uruguay is now recognized. Thank you, President. Uruguay is pleased to take the floor for the first time in today's meeting, and we therefore would like to express our appreciation to everyone for the wonderful arrangements made, and we greet the government of Switzerland and the authorities of the city of Geneva for the warm hospitality extended to us. I will be speaking today about oral health, but in so doing, it's not just one specialty that we're addressing, but rather this is a principle that cuts across all aspects of health. It recognizes the interdependence between human health, animal health, and environmental health. And it is from this perspective that our country has set its policies and its technical work over the past few decades. Uruguay has taken on fully the commitment to work towards the full incorporation of oral health in our national health system. Looking ahead to 2030, we're working arduously and working within our possibilities to maintain the highest standards of health, safety, and sustainability. This process involves not only improving our services, but also transforming the way in which we conceive of healthcare by promoting well-being, ranging from prevention, education, and social justice. The misuse of dental amalgam is part of this approach, and for almost 2 decades we have not been teaching the use of this in our dental faculties. And in addition, we are eliminating it from our health system, public health system. We therefore can report that this is almost completely phased out across all of Uruguay. We therefore fully support the amendment for its phase out by 2030, and we express our support for the incorporation of additional mandatory measures that will ensure that it is completely removed from health and insurance systems. We are convinced that dentistry that is mercury-free was not only possible, rather indeed necessary. We do know that this presents challenges, but it is for this reason that we are humbly offering our solidarity and collaboration, and we will offer to share our national experience and do so through our participation in a contact group. Our technical material and our learnings in the particular project that we are pleased to be part of, and we will be chairing the steering committee for this project. We reaffirm our commitment to the Minamata Convention and its global objectives of protecting health and the environment. It is our understanding that the actual process is one we have to build together through cooperation, dialogue, and shared responsibility. In closing, we wish to recall a principle that cuts across all our actions. There is no health without oral health, and no oral health in a sick environment. Thank you.
Gracias, Uruguay.
I thank the delegate of Uruguay. I now give the floor to Peru.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, for giving me the floor. Peru wishes to express its thanks to the Minamata Secretariat for its efforts to implement the convention. And we also extend our appreciation to the government of Switzerland for their warm hospitality and the quality of the arrangements making this event possible. We reaffirm our commitment to adopting the measures set out in the Minamata Convention to protect the health of our peoples and our environment from mercury emissions and releases and mercury compounds through anthropogenic actions. We have noted that we are seeking here to eliminate the use of dental amalgams. We therefore have made progress in gradually phasing it out, and we are seeing a gradual elimination since 2014 to 2025 of over 68,000, from 68,000 to a much lower number this year. I should point out that this reduction was achieved through the establishment of technical and legal instruments, and we have been building capacity among our human resources. We contend that the focus on formulating and implementing technical standards for the use of dental amalgams, which is the main legal instrument because its main provisions ensures the phasing down and replacement of dental amalgams as fillings in dentistry practice across our health system in the country, systems in the country. And we are focusing on women, girls, breastfeeding mothers, and other vulnerable groups. We also believe that another pillar is to strengthen prevention activities to prevent cavities and to make sure that there is minimal intervention, and we have planned to come up with a legal document, set of standards to guide these practices. We have an integrated health management system, and we have been prohibiting any purchase of it at the 3 levels of government, and we are restricting its use to only specific clinical uses and in predetermined doses. We're also dealing with the insurance aspect of this and phasing out protection for dental amalgams based on mercury. We therefore expect this to be completed by 2030, except for those cases that are set out expressly in our legal provisions. Thank you.
Gracias al Perú.
Thank you very much, Peru. I now give the floor to Panama.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Since it's the first time that Panama is taking the floor, we would like to thank Switzerland for its hospitality and hosting this COP6 in the beautiful city of Geneva. And also our appreciation goes to you, sir, and the Secretariat for your hard work. Regarding to the amendment proposed by the African countries, we support it because we understand the complexity of the situation. Our country has done its utmost to remove dental amalgams from its health system. We would like to share that since January 2024-5, we have prohibited the use of dental amalgams through a specific decree. And we are also prohibiting the use of dental amalgams for pregnant women and children. Thank you.
Gracias, Panama.
Thank you very much, Panama. I now give the floor to Argentina.
Muchas gracias, señor.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Since it's the first time that my delegation is taking the floor, we would like to thank the government of Switzerland for its hospitality, as well as the Secretariat and the Bureau for its work to ensure that this meeting runs smoothly. The Republic of Argentina wishes to reiterate its commitment to the effective implementation of the Minamata Convention on Mercury. Regarding the proposed amendments, given the national progress we have made, Argentina is in a position to support the amendment and the date proposed. In our country, the use of dental amalgams has been significantly reduced over the last few years, and we believe that by 2030 it will be completely excluded from any of our government-sponsored dental programs. In this connection, we reaffirm our support for eliminating dental amalgams by 2030 as part of a process that covers takes into account national capacities and based on international cooperation and transfer of technology to ensure that there is a sustainable transition. Thank you.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much, Argentina.
Next in line is Burundi.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. President. Sir, I'd like to begin by thanking the government of Switzerland for its warm hospitality and the Secretariat for facilitating our participation. We ratified the Minamata Convention on the 26th of March 2021, and in so doing, we joined other countries and indeed the whole world in its bid to remove the harmful effects of the use of mercury and mercury-containing products. Dental amalgams have harmful effects on human health, and it worsens especially for women and pregnant women. Burundi has a law that is seeking to remove trade in dental amalgams. We therefore strongly support the African group proposal on dental amalgams, and we would like to see COP6 take a meaningful decision on these products. Thank you.
Thank you. Burundi, Saudi Arabia.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is the first time we take the floor, and therefore we would like to congratulate you, Mr. President, and we would like to thank the State of Switzerland for their generous hospitality and the Secretariat for their efforts in achieving the objectives of the Minamata Convention. We at the KSA have heard very attentively to the positions of states with regard to dental amalgams containing mercury, and despite the fact that the KSA is currently transitioning towards safe alternatives and has a clear national plan in this regard, we reaffirm that we have to take into account the situations where the current alternatives are not sufficient currently, and we propose a contact group for this purpose. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Saudi Arabia. We now turn to observers. The first one is we have the WHO. So WHO, as an international organization, will go first, and then we'll move to NGOs. WHO, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. The World Health Organization welcomes the growing momentum among parties and partners to align oral health care with environmental sustainability and the objectives of the Minamata Convention on Mercury. WHO also appreciated the opportunity to highlight key points presented in the information document 31/Add1, WHO guideline on environmentally friendly and less invasive oral health care for preventing and managing dental caries. These WHO guidelines provide clear recommendations for the safe and effective use of mercury-free dental products and minimal interventions. These approaches are not only clinically effective, but they also offer a safer and more environmentally sustainable alternative to dental amalgam. In light of this new WHO guideline, developed through international collaboration, rigorous evidence synthesis, and in alignment with the Minamata Convention on Mercury, as well as the Global Oral Health Action Plan 2023-2030, WHO respectfully calls on parties to advance toward a phase-out of dental amalgam by 2030, in line with the Sustainable Development Goals timeline. Mr. President, progress has been made since previous COPs to advance the agenda on phasing down dental amalgam use, including adoption of new measures to protect vulnerable groups and report on the progress made in countries. However, current trends indicate that the pace of change remains too slow. The lack of the well-defined phase-out date risks prolonging the use of mercury in the health sector indefinitely. A defined timeline encourages policy alignment, resource mobilization, and stakeholders' engagement. It stimulates innovation in finding pathways to make mercury-free dental materials more affordable and accessible, while offering a shared goal that motivates coordinated action across governments, academia, researchers, professional associations, civil society organizations, and industry partners. WHO remains committed to supporting countries in implementing sustainable oral health policies, strengthening health systems, and promoting environmentally sound procurement and waste management practices. Together, we can build a future where oral health care is equitable and safe for people and the planet. Thank you.
Thank you, WHO, for that intervention. Let's move now to ENV. I suppose it is environment, med. I suppose it is medical. Okay. European Network for Environmental Medicine.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm speaking on behalf of the European Network for Environmental Medicine and the Zero Mercury Working Group, an international coalition of over 110 public interest NGOs from more than 55 countries celebrating our 20th anniversary this year. Since it's the first time we are taking the floor, we wish to express our sincere appreciation to the government of Switzerland, as well as UN Environment, the Bureau and the Secretariat for all efforts to make this meeting happen. Dental amalgam is composed of 50% mercury. An average posterior filling is made of 0.6 grams of mercury, 600 milligrams. This is enough to pollute more than 100,000 liters of drinking water. When we talk about minimizing releases from the use of dental amalgam by installing separators, restricting the use to capsules, or installing filters in crematoria, we speak about reducing the ultimate release of mercury from 100% to maybe 40 to 60%. Sustainable use of amalgam is therefore an illusion. We have banned mercury-added medical devices, batteries and lamps. Now it's time to stop placing mercury in the mouth. More than 60 countries have banned dental amalgam use, stopped its import, replaced it in public programs, or declared its phase-out. Among those, the European Union has banned the use of dental amalgam since January 2025. The deadline of 2030 is consistent with the UN Sustainable Development Goals and supported by WHO, which says in a post, a global phase-out by 2030 is not only feasible, it is necessary. It will drive innovation, reduce costs through market shifts, and protect both people and the planet. It is especially important for the ambitions to achieve universal oral health coverage by 2030. Yes, No new public program should be set up or extended to cover dental amalgam aligned with the new ambitions for universal oral health coverage. On the contrary, countries should start working on replacing dental amalgam with alternatives in existing programs as proposed by the African region. The experience from European countries demonstrates that this is feasible without a substantial financial burden. The African proposal is consistent with the direction parties are heading and adopting measures to phase out use in pregnant women and children, and the overall phase out of dental amalgam. Since non-mercury dental fillings are cost-effective, perform as well, and are available and used worldwide, we support the objectives of the proposed amendments calling for the discontinuation of dental amalgam by 2030, along with complementary measures. Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations on your anniversary. Next in line is the World Alliance for Mercury-Free Dentistry.
This week, this conference of the parties writes history. This week, this conference ends the amalgam era in dentistry. The decision to shift to mercury-free dentistry is already made. With no dissent at COP4, you ended amalgam for children and for pregnant and breastfeeding women. With no dissent at COP5, you directed all parties who have not yet phased out amalgam to advise the Secretariat, on your progress. Now the decision is when and how to end this horrid, unnecessary, toxic, tooth-unfriendly colonial-era pollutant. Remember, dental mercury is poisoning fish children eat, and some of those children are getting brain damage. Please factor that into your cost equations. No consumer wants mercury in the mouth. Amalgam continues for two reasons. Deception. The term silver fillings, that's what they call it, or plombage in French. And second, it's being forced on powerless consumers. This is not a dental decision. It's being forced on powerless consumers in government programs. The World Alliance is grateful to the three pillars putting together this project: the African Union, African region, the European Union, and the World Health Organization. And we're grateful to you, Senor Presidente, for Alvarez, for calling on this convention to resolve the amalgam issue this week. This week, delegates choose the environment, choose consumers, choose dental workers, choose competent dentistry. From Lima to Libreville to Liverpool, let's have mercury-free dentistry. From Davao City to Dhaka to Dar es Salaam, mercury-free dentistry. From Beijing to Bandung to Bangkok to Berlin to Brazzaville to Buenos Aires, mercury-free dentistry. From Ahmedabad to Aden to Amman to Addis, mercury-free dentistry. From St. John's, Canada to St. John's, Antigua to Santiago to Saint Louis, Senegal to Sao Paulo, mercury-free dentistry. From Isfahan to Islamabad to Indianapolis, mercury-free dentistry. Muchas gracias, Senor Presidente. Make dental amalgam history.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Thank you, Mr. Brown. Now I call on the International Association for Dental Research.
The International Association for Dental, Oral, and Craniofacial Research congratulates the countries that have addressed appropriate waste management and those that have been able to phase out the use of dental amalgam. But we strongly support maintaining and accelerating the phase-down approach to dental amalgam. At COP5, parties that have not phased out amalgam committed to submit a national action plan or report on progress. We urge rigorous analysis of these data to guide policy. setting fixed end dates before and assessing country capacity, including waste management, training, and supply chain, is likely to produce implementation failures and unintended harms. To address the 2.5 billion persons with dental caries, science must be our compass. While amalgam alternatives show promise, evidence on their longevity, cost effectiveness, and performance across diverse clinical settings is still evolving. Amalgam may remain the most clinically appropriate option in certain circumstances. This is not an insurance or compliance issue, but a public health issue. Prior to an import ban, an assessment of in-country amalgam stockpiles to provide options for the continued treatment of these vulnerable populations is critical to protect public health. The phase down is working. Scientific reports and manufacturers report rapidly declining amalgam sales alongside increased sales of amalgam restoratives. A continued phase-down approach, as outlined in the WHO Oral Health Care and Environment Report and the Global Oral Health Action Plan, acknowledges differences in national readiness and ties amalgam reduction to equity, prevention, access, and clinical appropriateness for the overall well-being of the patient. Dental education is already shifting. Teaching and placement of posterior composites are at all-time highs, supporting a faster but orderly transition. Emerging science shows a phase-out approach will most likely widen existing health inequalities while not being protective of public health and well-being. We therefore call on parties to maintain the current phase-down model tied to prevention and capacity building, to safeguard access, quality of care, and population well-being. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that intervention, the always valuable interventions of observers. So we have one more? Oh, World Dental Federation, you will be the last speaker on the list.
Thank you. FDI World Dental Federation supports the objectives of the Minamata Convention on Mercury and the WHO Global Oral Health Action Plan, including the current global target that states by 2030, 90% of countries have implemented measures to phase down the use of dental amalgam as stipulated in the Minamata Convention on Mercury, or have phased it out. Both frameworks highlight the importance of a phase-down approach to dental amalgam to ensure equitable access to oral health care. Emerging data from global sales and treatment reports indicate this approach is working. Sustainable progress is essential to prevent worsening existing barriers to care, particularly as 2.5 billion people worldwide are affected by dental caries, and oral health care remains excluded from universal health coverage in many countries. As parties resume discussions on the proposed amendments to Part 1 of Annex A, specifically the introduction of a 2030 phase-out date for the manufacture, import, or export of dental amalgam, FDI urges caution. Setting a deadline before safe, effective, and affordable alternatives are widely available and feasible to implement risks undermining oral health systems and exacerbating global inequalities. Even in a potential phase-out scenario, responsible waste management remains vital. Reinforcing environmental practices for handling dental amalgam waste is crucial, as weaknesses in these systems undermine the Convention's broader objective of reducing environmental mercury exposure. In light of these considerations, FDI urges parties to maintain the phase-down approach as evidence demonstrates its effectiveness. Any phase-out date should be set no earlier than 2035, without addressing gaps in access, affordability, and system readiness. Premature action could further marginalize vulnerable populations and undermine global oral health progress. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Last speaker, say no to mercury.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished delegates, on behalf of Say No to Mercury, we thank Switzerland for hosting COP6. We are here to end mercury use, a toxin that poisons minds, bodies, and our planet. Yet, one unacceptable anomaly persists. Mercury dental amalgam, the only mercury product intentionally implanted in humans, remains under a weak phase down. This is not progress, it is a betrayal of Minamata's mission. The EU's 27 nations banned amalgam in January 2025. Proof that science and political will equals leadership. By contrast, wealthy nations, USA, Canada, UK, Australia, still permitted, despite admitting mercury from fillings increases brain, blood, and kidney levels with worse effects in the sick or genetically vulnerable. How can the richest, most advanced healthcare systems cling to a primitive, polluting poison while nations with 100 million plus populations have banned it, proving courage, not wealth, defines action? Over 50% of Americans carry amalgam. Every 5-year delay fuels a silent epidemic of global harm. Safe, affordable alternatives exist. The science is settled. Only political resolve is missing. At COP5, the African group's 2030 phase-out was unjustly delayed, deferring protection for millions, creating more victims of mercury poisoning. That failure must not repeat. In August 2025, Florida Surgeon General Dr. Joseph Ladapo issued a landmark advisory against amalgam, citing DNA damage, fetal brain risks, and mercury buildup. His warning is a global wake-up call. Fillings placed today last decades, and most recipients will die with them. As Dr. Olimpio Faisal Pinto, father of mercury-free dentists, said, "We may not save everyone, but we can stop poisoning them." Let COP6 be the parties, replace compromise with action, ban mercury dental amalgam globally, make mercury history. Thank you very much.
Thank you for saying no to mercury. So, I sincerely thank you for your statements. Certainly a very long agenda item. So, after hearing all of you, many parties which spoke supported the addition of dental amalgam to Annex A, Part 1. Some other parties are still not ready to support such amendment. That is what we have heard from the dais. Now, with regard to Annex A, Part 2, some parties support the addition of one mandatory measure, other parties did not. So, to me, it is quite clear that further and more in-depth discussion is needed to proceed with this agenda item. And many of you in your interventions outline the need to form a contact group. So I will propose to establish such a group, which I will call the Contact Group on Technical Matters. We will request from the dais for this group to begin its work when this plenary ends. And I will propose the following mandate for the contact group. With respect to amendments to Annex A, to conclude on the proposed amendment to Annex A as set out in document 6, taking into consideration the interventions in this afternoon plenary session. And second, developed a draft decision to be considered by the plenary. So once again, so it's very clear to everybody, 1, conclude on the proposed amendments to Annex A, as set out in document 6, taking into account the interventions in plenary, and 2, develop a draft decision to be considered by the plenary. I will ask the contact group co-chairs to report on the progress of work by plenary tomorrow morning, as customary. So the Conference of the Parties is now entering in decision-making mode. Are there any objections to my proposal to establish this contact group on technical matters as I just have described? I see no objections. It is so decided. Following close consultations with the Bureau, I would like to request Mr. David Kapindula from Zambia and Ms. Claudia Dumitru of Romania to take on the task of facilitating the work of the contact group as co-chairs. Are there any objections to this proposal? Seeing no objections, it is so decided. So David and Claudia, thank you for taking on this important task. And they will serve us very well, and both of them are former presidents of this Minamata. Mr. Isaku Toda, to my left, Senior Program Management Officer, will support the work of this contact group. Once again, the group is invited to start the work following this afternoon plenary, beginning at 7 p.m. until 22, which is 10 p.m. for those of you that are in the 12-hour system. The group will meet in room A, which is the large room downstairs. This was quite tiring, believe me. Now we move to agenda item 4B, small Roman 3. So I call on the Secretariat to introduce the documents related to vinyl chloride monomer production.
Thank you, President. I am introducing documents 6R2 and Inf 9. Part 2 of Annex B to the Convention provides that parties are not to allow the use of mercury in the production of vinyl chloride monomer, or VCM, 5 years after the COP has established that mercury-free catalysts based on the existing processes have become technically and economically feasible. A similar provision exists for sodium and potassium methylate and ethylate. COP5 established that mercury-free alternatives was feasible for that process, and therefore parties are to phase out the use of mercury in that process by 2028. The document contains a report on the technical and economic feasibility of mercury-free catalysts in VCM production developed pursuant to decision MC 5/6, drawing on the information submitted by 9 parties and 3 organizations. If 9 is a compilation of information submitted by parties and stakeholders on this matter. The COP may wish to consider the report by the Secretariat based on the information contained in the Inf 9 and decide as appropriate. And also I'd like to mention that there's a CLP on this matter. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Eisaku. As we outlined at the beginning of the plenary session this afternoon, there's a CRP5 who was introduced under this agenda sub-item. It is sponsored by the EU and its member states, Norway, and the United States of America. So my appeal to you when you take the floor, because I will open the floor right away, is for you to make concise interventions in regards of time, and as we have said in the beginning of the COP, we encourage that you take no more than 2 minutes for your interventions. So the floor is open for reflection on this agenda sub-item. The European Union is the first one to speak.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the European Union and its member states, vinyl chloride monomer, or let's say VCM, represents still one of the largest remaining industrial users of mercury. Several parties made submissions to the Secretariat regarding mercury-free catalysts to produce VCM, which are technically and economically feasible. In the European Union, VCM production using mercury catalysts is prohibited since the 1st of January 2022. We would like to recall that, in line with Part 2 of Annex B to the Convention, as was just said, parties shall not allow the use of mercury in VCM production 5 years after the Conference of the Parties has established that mercury-free catalysts based on existing processes have become technically and economically feasible. Mr. President, the European Union and its member states believe that mercury-free catalysts based on existing processes have indeed become technically and economically feasible globally. Therefore, the European Union and its member states, co-sponsored by Norway and the United States of America, have submitted a CRP containing this conclusion in a draft decision. And we very much look forward to a discussion on this CRP containing the draft decision during a contact group. And we very much hope that the decision will be adopted at this COP. Thank you.
Thank you, European Union. Now China has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the Chinese delegation, I would like to thank the Swiss Federation government and the Secretariat of the Convention for your efforts in convening this meeting. The Chinese delegation appreciates the Secretariat for preparing the documents. The Chinese government is actively promoting mercury reduction in the production of VCM. Since 2015, low mercury catalysts have been fully adopted to replace high mercury catalysts. The continuous efforts have been made to reduce high mercury catalysts, and we have accumulatively reduced tens of, even thousands of tons of mercury use. With the policy guidance and finance support, there are 3 mercury-free production companies for VCM, which has established the mercury-free calcium carbide-based PVC production facilities. But we have noticed there's high uncertainty regarding technical feasibility in the production, and economic viability has yet to be established. The potential environmental risk of full mercury-free substitution are yet to be fully understood. Therefore, we need policy and science verification. Therefore, the Chinese government is willing to take relevant actions, and together with the industries, we can, on the basis of having more samples of application, we can establish the full life cycle management system, upgrade relevant process technologies and equipment to accelerate the process towards a comprehensive transition to mercury-free alternatives. We believe, under your leadership and the joint efforts of all delegations, and the Chinese delegation stands ready to engage in the discussions this evening in the contact group with all parties to discuss those relevant issues. Thank you.
Thank you very much, China. Next in line is Norway.
Thank you, Mr. President. The phasing out of mercury has a high priority in Norway's efforts to minimize harm caused by hazardous substances. Releases and use of mercury pose a serious threat to human health and the environment and should be continually reduced until, with a view of eliminating them. All vinyl chloride production in Norway is based on ethylene. The mercury catalyst process has never been used. In the report prepared for this COP on this matter, we see evidence that mercury-free catalysts are technically and economically feasible, and Norway fully supports this view. Norway echoes the intervention by the European Union and its member states and would like to thank both the EU and the United States of America for the cooperation on CRP5, which we are pleased to support as a co-sponsor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Norway. The Philippines.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. The Philippines has no production of VCM. We have two companies importing VCM for PVC production. In one of the companies importing VCM, it's produced using an ethylene-based process and no mercury is being used. A ban on mercury in the production of VCM will not directly affect the supply chain for PVC production in the Philippines. Further, the Philippines will include VCM in its chemical control order policy to strengthen regulation on its importation, distribution, and use in the country. The Philippines therefore supports the eventual phase-out of the use of mercury in VCM production. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you very much to the Philippines. We have Sierra Leone on the list.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the African region, VCM is one of the largest intentional underlying industrial users of mercury. However, research has shown that mercury-free catalysts such as gold and copper-based processes can substitute mercury. VCM is the building block of PVC, a material that goes into the production of imported and widely used products, especially in the African region, ranging from water pipes, clothing, toys, food, to packaging and containers. As the PVC industry represents one of the most significant users of mercury in the world today, this will add to the deterioration of human health and the environment due to potential exposure to mercury and mercury vapor. The African region uses a lot of VCM products, and therefore it is in the interest of the region that these products are mercury-free before they get to our markets. Mr. President, the African region takes note of the information provided by the stakeholders in the document UNEP/MC/COP.6/INF/9 on the economic and technical visibility of mercury catalyst in VCM production. It is clear to us that mercury-free alternative processes are readily available. Based on this information, we believe that the COP has sufficient evidence to establish that mercury-free alternatives are economically and technically feasible. Mr. President, the African region does request the COP to phase out mercury use in VCM production in the next 5 years, as this will protect the human health and environment and ease our challenges of disposal when these products reach their end of life. The region fully supports the CRP submitted by EU and member states and thank them for the excellent work done. I thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Sierra Leone. On behalf of the Africa region, now I give the floor to the United States.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to express appreciation to the European Union and its member states for submitting the CRP, which the United States is very happy to co-sponsor. As we have heard from many delegations, we believe that the report from the Secretariat clearly indicates that there are mercury-free alternatives available not only for the ethylene-based process, which does not use mercury and which is used in the United States, but for the acetylene-based process as well. We also note that the use of mercury, that vinyl chloride monomer production is one of the largest uses remaining for mercury and therefore has a large and outsized environmental impact. And we also recognize that it is one of the main drivers of the continued use, primary mining of mercury, which we are phasing out under this convention and we hope can happen more quickly than the phase-out date. So we strongly support this, and I've heard from the distinguished delegate of China a willingness to discuss this in the contact group, which we would be happy to do as well. Thank you.
Thank you, USA. Next is the UK.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will keep my intervention brief. The United Kingdom would like to support the proposal as set out in the conference room paper from the European Union, United States and Norway on the use of mercury in VCM production, and we thank those parties for their work in producing this paper. The use of mercury in VCM production represents a substantial contribution to global consumption of mercury. Taking a decision, as set out in this conference room paper, would contribute significantly to achieving the Convention's objectives. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, United Kingdom. Thailand has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thailand takes note of the report on the technical and economic feasibility of mercury-free catalyst in the production of vinyl chloride monomer, or VCM, as well as the experience shared by parties that have transitioned to such technologies. We support the recognition that mercury-free technologies are now both technically viable and economically feasible for VCM production. In Thailand, VCM is produced through an ethylene-based process, which does not involve the use of mercury or mercury compounds. Furthermore, the Ministry of Industry has issued a notification prohibiting the establishment or expansion of factories that use mercury or mercury compounds in their production processes, a regulation that came into force in 2025. Mr. President, Thailand remains firmly committed to advancing mercury-free industries and to working with all parties to achieve the shared objectives of the Minamata Convention, safeguarding human health and protecting our environment from mercury pollution. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Switzerland.
Thank you, Mr. President. Switzerland first would like to warmly thank Minamata Secretariat for preparing the concise report on technical and economic feasibility of mercury-free catalyst in vinyl chloride monomer production. We also wish to thank all the other contributors for sharing their valuable experiences, knowledge, and assessment in this field. The information presented showed that the transition to mercury-free technology for synthesis of VCM is both technically, economically feasible at the global level. Already today, industrial-scale deployment of mercury-free catalysts, regardless on the feedstock use, has demonstrated that such transition is indeed possible. In terms of mercury uses and emissions, the transition to mercury-free alternative will represent a significant step toward achieving the objective of the Convention. We welcome with interest the CRP on feasibility of mercury-free alternative for VCM proposed by the European Union and its member states, Norway and the United States of America, and we would appreciate the opportunity to discuss it further. Thank you.
Muchas gracias, Suiza.
Thank you, Switzerland.
Australia, usted tiene la palabra.
Australia, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. Australia welcomes CRP5 and thanks the European Union and its member states, Norway and the United States of America for this succinct and well-articulated proposal. Australia also recognises that clear evidence has been submitted to the COP on the technical and economic feasibility of mercury-free catalysts for VCM production. We commend the work and submissions that have informed this conclusion, which reflects advances in cleaner production technologies and the practical experiences in countries that have already transitioned successfully. Australia would support the adoption of a decision that mercury-free catalysts for the production of vinyl chloride monomer have become technically and economically feasible. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Uganda.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President, for giving me the floor. Uganda is in support of the position of Africa and region in regard to the present note covering the feasibility of mercury-free alternatives for manufacturing of vinyl chloride monomer as articulated by Sierra Leone. Uganda welcomes the report by the Secretariat on the technical and economic feasibility of mercury-free catalysts in vinyl chloride monomer production and notes availability of mercury-free alternative catalysts for manufacturing vinyl chloride monomer. Mr. President, Uganda, like the majority of African countries, has a growing economy associated with, among others, improved infrastructure for water supply, associated with the use of polyvinyl chloride, PVC, and there is a risk of PVC material constituting VCN as a component. Uganda therefore re-echoes Africa's regional request to the COP to phase out mercury use in VCN production in the next 5 years, as would protect the human health and environment and ease our challenges of disposal when these products reach their end of life. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Uganda, Iran, you have the floor.
At the outset, I would like to thank the Secretariat for the report on the technical and economic feasibility of mercury-free catalysts in VCM production. Regarding the consideration of the feasibility of mercury-free alternatives for manufacturing VCM, our delegation is pleased to inform the Secretariat and the state parties that none of our petrochemical companies that have the VCM production process for PVC production use catalysts containing mercury and its compounds. The VCM production process is now carried out through copper-based catalysts. Therefore, we can go along with the proposed draft decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Iran, for that intervention. India, please.
Mr. President, India acknowledges that parties shall not allow the use of mercury in vinyl chloride monomer production containing mercury catalysts 5 years after the Conference of Parties has established that mercury-free catalysts based on existing processes are technically and economically feasible. India appreciates the intersessional work carried out by the Minamata Secretariat, and they're submitting a report by the Secretariat on the technical and economic feasibility of mercury-free catalysts in vinyl chloride monomer production, pursuant to the decision made in the 5th Conference of Parties under MC 5/6. The report on mercury-free alternatives for VCM production through acetylene route has mentioned wide range of inputs from lack of clarity on environmental risks of mercury-free alternatives, as well as questions on technical and economic feasibility of mercury-free alternatives. Based on the preliminary assessment on the matter, CRP proposal requests the Conference of Parties to establish mercury-free alternatives in vinyl chloride monomer production are technically and economically feasible. This requires more deliberation before arriving at such decision that leads to phasing out use of mercury-based catalyst in the VCM production by all parties within 5 years. Therefore, we support the discussions through a contact group. Thank you.
Thank you very much, India, for that intervention. So we now move to the observers list of interventions. And I have first Natural Resources Defense Council.
Can you hear me? Thank you, Mr. President. In my 2 minutes, first let me thank you, the Secretariat, and the Government of Switzerland for all your efforts in making this COP happen. VCM is by far the largest industrial use of mercury remaining and is the sole justification for the continued primary mercury mining in China. Phasing out this use means eliminating the largest mercury supply source in the world and the largest non-ASGM use of mercury, thus achieving huge global benefits. Substantial evidence indicates there are viable non-mercury alternatives available for use in China and elsewhere. For the eastern part of China, growing ethylene capacity means China's VCM plants can produce VCM the same way the rest of the world does in the eastern part of the country. Almost half of the new VCM production capacity added in 2024 was ethylene-based. For the remaining parts of China, gold non-mercury catalysts are currently manufactured by at least 3 companies. Moreover, as stated before, there are 3 currently full-scale size factories currently operating in China using gold catalysts. And publicly available information NRDC obtained from government and private websites indicate the plants are performing well so far. India is also anticipating new acetylene-based facilities in 2026 using the gold catalysts. These facts demonstrate the feasibility of phasing out this mercury use. Publicly available information also points to the economic viability of these plants using the new technology. To further support the transition, the government can incentivize the transition and provide technical assistance to the sector, much in the same manner it did for the transition to the low mercury catalyst you just heard about, accomplished in the 2016 to 2020 timeframe. We therefore urge the COP to find that non-mercury alternatives are feasible for the VCM sector and begin the 5-year phase-out period. Thank you.
Thank you very much, NRDC, for that intervention. And now I call on Zero Mercury Working Group.
Thank you, Mr. President. Vinyl chloromonomer production is the largest remaining intentional industrial use of mercury. As this is significantly supplied by primary mercury mining, its phase-out becomes even more important. The Secretariat's report concluded that mercury use in VCM production is now limited to a few parties. Information available confirms that mercury-free alternatives for the acetylene-based production process already exist, and most of the world uses the ethylene-based process for mercury-free PVC production. Furthermore, it is of major importance that the primary mercury mines close and stop adding new mercury to the environment, especially to limit the possibilities of illegal mercury trade for ASGM and other uses. As presented above, based on existing processes, we are convinced that COP6 has sufficient evidence that mercury-free catalysts are readily available, as well as technically and economically feasible, and request the phase-out of this process. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Zero Mercury. So that intervention closes the list of speakers. So from what I gathered, a number of parties are of the view that the COP should establish that mercury-free catalysts based on existing processes have become technically and economically feasible, while one party considers that the technical and economic feasibility is still to be established, and one party expresses the need for further consideration of this item. So it is quite clear that further technical discussion is needed to proceed with this agenda item. So therefore, I will propose to request the contact group on technical matters that we established a while ago to consider this matter with the following mandate. So this is the additional mandate to the one that we outlined before. 1, conclude on whether mercury-free catalysts based on existing processes have become technically and economically feasible, taking into account the information contained in Information Document 9. And 2, develop a draft decision to be considered by the plenary, taking into account what is contained in CRP 1. CRP 5. The Conference of the Parties is now entering in decision-making mode. Are there any objections to my proposal to request the contact group on technical matters to consider these sub-item as I just have described? I see no objections. It is so decided. Thank you very much. That concludes that sub-item. And now we move to agenda item 4B, small Roman 2. The Secretariat has the floor to introduce documents related to cosmetics listed in Part 1 of Annex A.
Thank you, President. I am introducing document 6 at 1 and Inf 8. The document 6 at 1 contains information on and a summary of the report on challenges in preventing the manufacture, import, and export of cosmetics listed in Part 1 of Annex A, prepared by the Secretariat pursuant to Decision MC5/5. The full report is set out in Inf 8. The report was drafted, compiling and synthesizing submissions from 23 parties and 8 organizations in cooperation with the WHO and the Global Mercury Partnership. The draft report was posted on the website for review and was finalized taking into account comments received from 5 parties and 8 organizations. Inf 8 also sets out as an annex a document submitted by Gabon entitled Legal Commitment on the Elimination of Mercury-Containing Skin Lightening Cosmetics in Africa, adopted at a high-level regional meeting held in January this year. The COP may wish to consider the final report contained in Inf 8 with a view to adopting a decision as appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretariat. Gabon, on behalf of the Africa region, has submitted a CRP on this matter. It is CRP 4. I now open the floor for reflections on the matters presented under this agenda item. And as usual, I will give priority in the speakers list to parties. I really urge you to be straight to the point. We really like to have congratulations on the organization and else, but I think we already had enough. So in order to really control timing, I would like you to be direct on this specific agenda item. Gabon, you have the floor.
Thank you, President. Mr. President, Gabon fully aligns itself with the statement made by Sierra Leone on behalf of the African Group.
Désolé, Monsieur le Président.
My apologies, sir. Since this is our first time taking the floor, Gabon wishes to express its deep gratitude to Switzerland for its warm hospitality, and our thanks also go to the Secretariat for the high-quality documents that have been submitted for our consideration. My country fully subscribes to the statement made by Sierra Leone on behalf of the African Group. For Gabon, the implementation in Africa of the pilot project financed by GEF dealing with eliminating skin lightening cosmetics jointly executed with Jamaica and Sri Lanka enabled the African region to have a roadmap entitled the Libreville Commitment on the Elimination of Mercury-Containing Skin Lightening Products in Africa, adopted in Libreville on the 22nd of January 2025 by African ministers and heads of delegation with responsibility for health and the environment. This commitment is a decisive step forward in combating the use of mercury in cosmetic products, and it paves the way forward. The critical importance of this commitment is such that we would submit on behalf of Africa the CRP for future actions promoting elimination of skin lightening products containing mercury. We wish to reaffirm today that the specific international program under the convention, which enables our country to set up a laboratory to analyze products containing mercury, and the GEF are important links in our implementation of the convention, especially when it comes to building capacity. Without waxing fulsome, sir, Gabon wishes to take this opportunity to very sincerely thank all its partners that have been supporting it in its implementation of the Minamata Convention, and more specifically, the World Health Organization, the United Nations Environment Program, and the Biodiversity Research Institute and the Secretariat of the Global Mercury Partnership. My country reaffirms its readiness to actively participate in all discussions geared towards arriving at decisions that will take forward the effective implementation of the Minamata Convention. Thank you.
Thank you, Gabon, for that intervention. Now I have the question to Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone, you have an intervention on behalf of the Africa region?
Yeah,
Or is it in a national capacity?
I stand up.
So, Sierra Leone, once again, so my question to you is, do you have an intervention on behalf of the region or in your national capacity?
It's supposed to be on behalf of the region.
Okay, you have the floor then.
Thank you, Mr. President. The African region commends the delegation of Gabon for submitting the conference room paper entitled Advancing Work Related to Mercury-Added Cosmetics, and expresses its full support for this initiative. Recognizing the serious health risks associated with mercury-added cosmetics, particularly skin lightening products, the African region reaffirms its commitment to strengthening the implementation of Article 4 of the Convention, which prohibits the manufacture, imports, and export of such products. The African region, one, supports the measures proposed in the CRP, especially those aimed at enhancing legislative and institutional capacities to enforce the ban on mercury-added cosmetics. Two, endorses the request to the Secretariat to identify parties lacking national legislation and to mobilize the required technical and legal assistance. 3, welcomes the proposal to equip laboratories for mercury biological and product analysis, strengthen border customs controls, and raise public awareness to reduce consumer demand. 4, encourages collaboration among the secretariats, WHO, UNEP, and other partners to promote an integrated approach combining public health, education, and social communication. And 5, highlights the need for adequate financial support and access to resources from the Global Environment Facility and the specific international program to ensure effective implementation. Finally, the African region views the Gabon CRP as a flagship initiative reflecting the continent's strong political will to protect human health and the environment from mercury-added products, and calls on all parties to support its adoption. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Sierra Leone. On behalf of the Africa region, next in line is the Philippines.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Regulations are already in place in the Philippines to address the manufacture, sales, importation, and distribution of mercury-added cosmetic products, particularly on skin lightening products. We support the proposed action of the Minamata Convention based on the report on cosmetics listed in Part 1 of Annex A. We urge the parties to strengthen their regulations on e-commerce trading and export of skin lightening products. This is one of the major challenges of the Philippines in the elimination of mercury-added cosmetics. A law has been enacted to control and penalize the online trading of mercury-added cosmetic products in the Philippines. However, this would be even more effective in deterring the trade of these products through the collective efforts of the parties in adopting the proposed actions on illegal trade and the phase-out of mercury-added cosmetics. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. The Philippines. I see Thailand.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thailand acknowledges the concerns and challenges expressed by the parties regarding the proposed amendment to Annex A Part 1 related to cosmetics. We recognize the importance of protecting human health and the environment from the harmful effects of mercury, while ensuring that regulatory measures remain science-based and implementable. In Thailand, mercury and its compounds are strictly prohibited as ingredients in cosmetics. The use of mercury compounds as preservative has also been banned under the Ministry of Public Health notification issued by the Food and Drug Administration, or FDA. As a result, the inclusion of such substance in any cosmetic products, including those intended for use around the eyes, is not permitted under Thai law. Furthermore, the Thai FDA has been actively monitoring and enforcing compliance through regular inspections, post-marketing surveillance, laboratory analysis, and public disclosures of products found to contain mercury. These actions are complemented by public awareness campaigns to ensure consumers are informed and protected. Mr. President, Thailand reaffirms again its strong commitment to the objectives of the Minamata Convention and stands ready to continue working closely with all parties and partners to advance our shared goal of eliminating mercury use in products, safeguarding human health, and protecting our environment for future generations. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Thailand. Just want to let you know that we are 1 hour to 1 hour and a half behind. So once again, my appeal to you, I don't know if you have listened to me, but my appeal to you is just when you intervene, please bring forward your main message to this agenda item. Next in line is Uganda.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, for giving me the floor. Uganda is in support of the position of African region in regard to the present note covering cosmetics listed in the Part 1 of the Annex A as articulated by Sierra Leone. Mr. President, Uganda recognizes the need to prevent mercury proliferation in the manufacture, import, and export of cosmetics as outlined in the report to the President. Mr. President, continued use of mercury-containing cosmetics despite wide availability of alternatives is detrimental to both human health and the environment, and it must be addressed. In light of the above, Mr. President, Uganda calls on the parties to support the proposed conference room report entitled Advancing Work Related to Mercury-Added Cosmetics as aimed at supporting the measures to enhance legislative and institutional capacities to enforce a ban on mercury-added cosmetics. I thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Uganda. Now Japan has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Since this is our first time that Japan is taking the floor, we would like to express our sincere gratitude to the government of Switzerland for their warm hospitality. We also extend our appreciation to Mr. President, Bureau members, and the Secretariat for their dedicated work in preparing for this COP. Japan is supportive of putting forward globally the work for phasing out mercury-added cosmetics. We thank Gabon and the African region for their initiative in presenting the CRP. We would like to suggest a few amendments on the draft decision in the CRP, particularly the operative paragraph 2 and 4. Since implementing the work proposed in these paragraphs would require additional resources, we propose inserting subject to the availability of resources in the operative paragraphs 2 and 4. We also suggest modifying the operative paragraph 6, since we believe that it is not appropriate to request a secretariat of another international organization to carry out work for the Minamata Convention. We stand ready to constructively engage in the discussion on this, as well as other relevant issues on the COP. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Japan. The European Union has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. The European Union and its member states express concern about the ongoing advertising of the production of mercury compounds for illegal uses such as skin lightening cosmetics products. We call upon parties to implement stringent measures to seize the production, sale and export of mercury compounds intended for use in cosmetics. And we believe there is also a pertinent link to discussions under item 4A on mercury compounds. We acknowledge the CRP by Gabon containing a draft decision strengthening the work concerning mercury added cosmetics. We recognize that it could serve as a basis for further discussion. I won't enter into details. We have some comments. We note that several elements of the CRP require reformulation, consideration, and streamlining, and we look forward to discussions in the contact group. Thank you.
Thank you very much, European Union. Antigua and Barbuda has the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. The government of Antigua and Barbuda welcomes the report and indeed the CRP, which outlines the efforts by parties with respect to the use of mercury compounds in cosmetics. I wish to convey that the government of Antigua and Barbuda has embarked on decisive action to combat the scourge of mercury-added cosmetics. Over several years of internal consultations with national authorities on chemicals and the Pharmacy Directorate, and initiatives with partners such as the Zero Mercury Working Group and research partners, the Biodiversity Research Institute, we have initiated a strategy to ban the importation of skin lightening creams that contain mercury and other substances. Our strategy is a multi-parameter approach that addresses mercury and other pharmaceuticals such as hydroquinone and steroids that are contained in cosmetics. We did not view this issue of skin lightening cream as an issue for the Minamata Convention only, but a more wide-ranging issue of the indiscriminate use of pharmaceuticals. Therefore, we strongly advocate an integrated and cooperative approach. It is our intent that during 2026, the new updated Pharmacy Act and its regulations will comprehensively address the issue of skin lightening creams in collaboration with implementing partners. We are determined to ensure that the harm posed by the use of skin lightening products is comprehensively addressed. The CRP4 submitted by Gabon and the African region is an important initiative that we largely support, and we are interested in discussing its implementation modalities and generally supportive of its adoption. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Antigua and Barbuda. Now Mexico has the floor.
Thank you very much, President. Mexico is grateful for the preparation of the report on challenges in preventing the manufacture, import, and export of mercury-containing cosmetic products, and we'd like to express our support for the proposal of the African Group. The manufacturing of cosmetics containing mercury is something which is prohibited in our country in accordance with the agreement, the purpose of which is to bring an end to the use of mercury in beauty and cosmetic products. Neither do we allow mercury to be used in other products for the skin or body, for hair dye, for shampoo, inter alia. At the moment, our country is in the process of carrying out a more detailed analysis of the import and legal trade in skin lightening creams and cosmetics which may contain mercury and the possible impact they may have on both the environment and human health. Thank you very much.
Mexico.
Thank you very much, Mexico. And I'll call on the United States of America.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. The United States would like to express its support and appreciation to the Secretariat for its report. As you know, the United States was a main proposer of this report, and we have been very pleased to see the outcome in the revised document. We also appreciate the commitment of the partnership, who's dedicated much of its time and effort to this issue over the last couple of months and years. Finally, we would like to thank Gabon for its CRP. We appreciate the intent, and we agree with the continued focus on cosmetics under this convention. We do have a couple of concerns with the CRP that we hope we will have time to discuss in a contact group. In particular, the call for the Secretariat to review national legislation, which we think is perhaps a little bit out of its customary role. The request to another international organization might need a little bit of further consideration. And we'd like to also discuss whether whether that is an appropriate ask of one of the subsidiary bodies to the Minamata Convention to look into this issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you, USA. Zambia.
Thank you, Mr. President. The government of the Republic of Zambia welcomes the report by the Secretariat and appreciates the continued support of the Secretariat, particularly through the specific international program project, which enhanced national understanding of mercury-added products, including cosmetics. Findings from the SIP project survey revealed that while the formal market is largely compliant, mercury-added cosmetics, especially skin lightening creams, continue to enter the country through informal and unregulated channels. This is posing risks to human health and the environment. Therefore, Zambia aligns itself with the Libreville Declaration on the elimination of mercury-containing skin lightening cosmetics and supports the position of the Africa region through the proposal by Gabon on advancing the work related to mercury-added cosmetics. We feel this will reinforce both regional and global efforts to eliminate mercury in cosmetics. Mr. President, at national level, Zambia continues to enforce restrictions and conduct public awareness campaigns. We, however, call for enhanced international cooperation, capacity building, and financial support to strengthen surveillance and enforcement. Therefore, we look forward to discuss this matter in the contact group should it be established. I thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Norway, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. We share the concerns raised by the African region, and we agree on the need to eliminate mercury-containing skin lightening cosmetics. Mercury-added skin lightening products are associated with very negative impacts on both human health and the environment. We appreciate and support the intent of CRP4 from Gabon on behalf of the African region, and we welcome the establishment of a contact group on this matter. Would be open to work further using CRP4 as a starting point should a contact group be established. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Norway, the Republic of Korea.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished delegates, since the first time that Korea is taking the floor, I'd like to extend my sincere appreciation to Swiss government for hosting Minamata COP6 and to the Secretary for their hard work. The Republic of Korea fully supported the continuous efforts of the international community and the Minamata Convention Secretary to eliminate mercury-added products, including cosmetics, and to protect human health and the environment from mercury exposure. In the Republic of Korea, the use of mercury in cosmetics is strictly prohibited under the Cosmetic Act and its enforcement rules. Mercury is designated as a banned ingredient, and therefore the manufacture, import, storage, display, and sale of cosmetics containing mercury are entirely prohibited. Also, in the Republic of Korea, monitoring activities are performed for both online and offline market to detect and remove any illegal or unregistered cosmetic products. Skin lightening products are regulated as functional cosmetics and can be distributed only after Ministry of Food and Drug Safety evaluation and registration verifying their safety and efficacy. MFDS also conducts random sampling inspection on cosmetics placed in the market to check the presence of heavy metal, including mercury. Through this comprehensive measure, Korea aims to completely eliminate mercury-added cosmetics from all distribution channels as safeguard consumer health. The Republic of Korea stands ready to strengthen international cooperation, share enforcement practice, and contribute to global capacity building under the Minamata Convention, so that mercury-added cosmetics will be fully phased out worldwide. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Where are you, Korea? I still cannot locate where you are. Oh, okay. Thank you. Dominican Republic, la República Dominicana, por favor.
Dominican Republic, please. Thank you, sir. We're grateful to and acknowledge the efforts made by the Secretariat and by delegations who've submitted information on problems related to the manufacture, import, marketing, and use of cosmetic products containing mercury. We appreciate the compilation of data on the risks to human health, the spreading use of these products, and the technical difficulties which sometimes make it difficult to eliminate the product's use. We believe that the disappearance of online selling sites and other measures might help, but it's difficult to apply the necessary control measures. The Dominican Republic reiterates our commitment to the elimination of such cosmetics containing mercury. We already have a National Health Ministry regulation in our country which expressly prohibits the sale, marketing and use of such products within our borders. We therefore, and in line with that approach, support the proposal on dealing with this issue. We're very grateful to Gabon for having presented CRP4 on behalf of the African Group. We think it's an excellent foundation for further discussion of the subject. Thank you.
Bangladesh.
Thank you very much, Dominican Republic. Bangladesh, please.
President, Bangladesh strongly supports the proposal to list cosmetics containing mercury or mercury compounds in Part 1 of Annex A and urge parties to COP6 to adopt this amendment to protect public health and the environment from avoidable market exposure. We commit to strengthening national measures to prevent manufacture, import, sale, and use of such products and request targeted technical and financial assistance, including laboratory capacity, customs and regulatory training, safe disposal guidance, and public awareness support to ensure an equitable and effective global phase-out. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Pakistan.
Thank you, Chair. Pakistan appreciates Gabon CRP on cosmetics and supports zero mercury in cosmetics. Pakistan, although has already set the mercury limit of 1 ppm as per WHO standards, but enforcement challenges exist. Upholding human health and safety is of paramount importance and significance. While legal instruments exist, it is also important to focus on behavioral change. Public health campaigns for raising awareness about its impact on health and human safety needs to be emphasized. Pakistan is fully committed to elimination of mercury in cosmetics and support Minamata Convention in its efforts to eliminate its use in cosmetics. Global partnerships are required to eliminate social media campaigns promoting skin lightening creams. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pakistan. India.
Thank you, Mr. President. India acknowledges the report prepared by Secretariat on challenges in preventing and phasing out the manufacture, import and export of cosmetics, including skin lightening soaps and creams as listed in Part 1 of Annex A to the Convention, as well as on current or proposed measures taken by parties and others to address those challenges for consideration by the Conference of Parties. The report suggests the measures to be taken by parties for prevention of the manufacture, import and export of mercury-added cosmetics, including having national legislation for elimination of mercury-based cosmetics, strengthening enforcement and national capacities, raising awareness and cooperation among parties on enforcing regulations on mercury-added cosmetics, sharing information about illegal trade, capacity building, awareness raising, research and development. India has put national regulations in place and it prohibits the cosmetics containing mercury with exceptions of unintentional mercury content of maximum 1 ppm and for allowing mercury up to maximum of 70 ppm used as preservative in the eye area cosmetics. CRP proposal of Gabon on behalf of the Africa region is a welcome step for advancing the work of elimination of use of mercury in cosmetics, including preventing their illegal trade. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. India, Sri Lanka.
Thank you, Mr. President. Sri Lanka is pleased to report the progress made in implementing the Minamata Convention, particularly in eliminating mercury-added products such as mercury-containing skin lightening creams. We are in the process of developing the national regulations which are responsible for regulating mercury levels in cosmetics. The Sri Lanka standards for creams and lotion is being revised to ensure mercury concentration are below 0.0 ppm, achieving zero mercury level aligning with global requirements. Our laboratory facilities have been technically enhanced to enable reliable mercury testing in cosmetic products. Sri Lanka has taken action to curb online sales of mercury-added products and published a public list of banned items to raise consumer awareness. Meanwhile, wide-reaching media campaigns, including press conference, podcast, and interactive tools to highlight the toxic risks of skin lightening products are being conducted. Regionally, Sri Lanka has participated in multi-country meeting and customs training workshops to strengthen border control and monitoring of mercury trade. We are also collaborating with the BRI to enhance analytical capacity and establish a framework for global data sharing. Sri Lanka remains fully committed to the objectives of the Minamata Convention and will continue to strengthen national policies, enforcement, and international cooperation to eliminate mercury from products and safeguard human health and environment. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Sri Lanka. And you are the last speaker from parties. Now we move to observers, and the first one on the list is WHO, followed by UNEP. Please make your interventions to the point so we can end this agenda item before 6 o'clock, or at least at 6 o'clock. Thank you. WHO.
Thank you for the opportunity to address mercury-containing cosmetics. We commend the Convention's leadership and the momentum generated by the Libreville Declaration, which calls for urgent action to eliminate mercury-containing skin lightening products. Mercury is a dangerous neurotoxin. Its use in cosmetics, particularly in skin lightening products, poses serious health risk, including kidney damage, neurological disorders, and developmental harm to unborn children. These products are often used daily, especially by women and girls, reinforcing harmful beauty standards rooted in colorism and discrimination. Despite the Convention's actions on mercury-containing cosmetics, these products remain widely available, especially in informal markets and online platforms. WHO, in collaboration with UNEP, the Global Environment Facility, and the Biodiversity Research Institute, is co-leading a multi-country project to eliminate mercury in skin lightening products. This initiative supports Gabon, Jamaica, and Sri Lanka in strengthening regulation, building laboratory capacity, raising awareness, addressing harmful behaviors, and promoting safe alternatives. In Gabon, for example, WHO supported the Ministry of Health in organizing a regional workshop that brought together 15 African countries to develop a unified strategy. WHO Gabon also co-led technical sessions on regulatory reform and led research on drivers of skin lightening behaviors, which, among others, can support public health messaging, contributing to the Libreville commitment. The country is now developing a national action plan and strengthening interministerial coordination. In Jamaica, WHO and PAHO have trained over 130 healthcare workers across all 14 parishes to recognize, study skin lightening behaviors, and communicate the dangers of mercury in skin lightening products, empowering health promotion professionals to take a leading role. WHO also supported the development of the national communication strategy targeting the vulnerable populations such as youth and women. In Sri Lanka, WHO worked with partners on legal and regulatory matters, including customs enforcement. Sri Lanka is now piloting a national surveillance system for mercury-related adverse health effects. However, the recent draft report by the Minamata Secretariat highlights persistent challenges. Many countries face limited regulatory capacity, lack of accredited laboratories, and weak enforcement mechanism. Informal markets and online sales continue to undermine national bans. The health sector has a critical role to play. Ministries of health can address demand of skin lightening products and related practices, including by leading public education, integrate mercury-related risk into clinical guidance, and support surveillance of adverse effects. Health professionals are trusted messengers and can play a critical role in preventing the uptake of skin lightening practices, as well as helping shift public perceptions around skin tone and beauty. WHO is developing a training module and clinical protocols to support this work. The Libreville Declaration is a powerful regional commitment to end the production, trade, and use of mercury-added skin lightening products, and WHO urges all the partners to support its implementation and to invest in sustainable, health-centered, and people-centered approaches that address both supply and demand. This includes supporting national legislation, strengthening enforcement, improving the understanding of the drivers of skin lightening practices, and promoting an inclusive beauty standards that celebrates diversity. Together, we can protect health and make mercury in cosmetics a thing of the past. Thank you.
Thank you very much, WHO. I will give the floor to UNEP. I hope UNEP can understand my English when I say, please be brief in your interventions.
Thank you, Mr. President. No pressure. Addressing harmful chemicals in cosmetics, including mercury, is not merely an environmental imperative. It's a matter of public health, human rights, and social justice. Through both storytelling, from social media campaigns to partnership with a global artist, UNEP is shifting mindset and reaffirming that mercury and other harmful chemicals have no place in cosmetics. A striking example is the Human Eye photographic exhibition on display this week in the Conference Center and Geneva Lakeshore, which powerfully affirms that human identity is defined by this uniqueness and diversity, not toxic mercury. UNEP, including through the knowledge management of the Global Mercury Partnership, stands ready to advance regional and global actions, such as Libreville commitment, by fostering partnership, raising awareness, sharing evidence, promoting regulatory reforms, and championing inclusive beauty and social standards. With support from the Global Environment Facility and in collaboration with WHO and Biodiversity Research Institute, we are driving policy, advocacy, and supply chain transforming together with the government of Gabon, Jamaica, and Sri Lanka. Looking ahead, UNEP is scaling up its efforts across 18 countries in Africa, Asia, and Latin America and Caribbean, working with global partners to close legal gaps, enhance supply chain oversight, and protect consumer health. Together, through policy, creativity, and collective action, we are building a future where our society is defined by diversity, not toxicity, and where hazardous chemicals, including mercury, are banned from cosmetic products for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, UNEP, for that intervention. Next is IPEN.
Thank you, Mr. President. I speak on behalf of the IPEN International Network. We support the position of the African group. We express our grave concern regarding the continued use of mercury in cosmetics, particularly in skin lightening creams, which is among the most significant sources of human mercury exposure in Africa. Recent studies indicate that over 25% of skin lightening products on the African market contain mercury concentrations exceeding the internationally accepted limit of 1 part per million, with some reaching 30,000 ppm and even higher. In Africa, an estimated 583 million women, which is more than half the continent's population, these are estimated to be the most exposed to these products. It is further estimated that these products can contain 2 to 10% of mercury by weight, meaning that tons of mercury may have been ingested by women over decades. The regular use of cosmetics containing mercury can cause kidney damage, skin discoloration, anxiety, depression, and other symptoms. Children and fetuses are also exposed to mercury through maternal use of these products. Furthermore, the accumulation of mercury in the human body, along with other toxic elements such as lead or cadmium, can significantly increase health risks and cause multiple toxic effects on the liver, kidneys, and nervous system, as well as skin cancer and chronic diseases. The proliferation of these products in unregulated online marketplaces exacerbates further the situation, as it provides easy access to women and girls without any protection or supervision, thus multiplying health and environmental risks. Based on the objectives of the Minamata Convention on Mercury in Article 3 and Articles 4 and 16, with regard to the protection of human health, we reaffirmed the importance of calling on all parties to implement an immediate and urgent ban on the use of mercury in all cosmetics and personal hygiene products, which leads us to a global call to prohibit the trade and supply of mercury. We also call on the strengthening of national legislation and controls on the import and distribution of mercury-containing products. Protecting the health of African women and women anywhere in the world from mercury is not only a legal obligation, but also a humanitarian responsibility towards a future free of toxins. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Eco-Waste Coalition.
Thank you, Mr. President. I speak on behalf of the Eco-Waste Coalition in the Philippines, a participating organization of IPEN. The COP5 decision to ban mercury in cosmetics was historic for health and the environment. By setting the 1 ppm threshold in products like skin lightening creams and soaps, parties made clear we're moving to declaring that no mercury belongs to cosmetics. Yet, mercury-added products still circulate in markets and online, putting users' health at risk and contaminating the environment. This undermines the Convention's credibility and its promise to protect people and the planet. The Secretariat's report highlights key challenges, including weak national legislation, poor enforcement, limited capacity, low awareness, and the need for stronger global cooperation. Civil society contributes to addressing these gaps through market monitoring, public alerts, and awareness campaigns. However, the need for full and strict enforcement remains uneven and accountability is weak. We urge parties to fully enforce the zero mercury standard, strengthen market and customs surveillance, and sustain public education campaigns that protect consumers and promote acceptance of all natural skin tones. Civil society stands ready to contribute in advancing the global mercury ban from commitment to concrete change in people's lives. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now we have the last speaker, and the list is closed, believe me. It's 1 minute to 6, and it's Zero Mercury Working Group.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm Lynette Oya from the Center for Environment, Justice and Development, Kenya. I deliver this statement on behalf of Mercury Working Group. Zero Mercury Working Group welcomes the Secretariat's report highlighting the multifaceted challenges of eliminating mercury-added skin lightening products. We also commend Gabon government for the Libreville commitment adopted earlier this year, as well as the proposed CRP for this COP, as a strong example of regional leadership from the African region. Yet, toxic cosmetics continue to be produced, traded, and sold illegally, both on the ground and online. Our recent report on Amazon exposes the online platform's double standards, which is protecting consumers in the US more than elsewhere since a recent ruling, and underscores the critical role of online marketplaces in linking manufacturers with consumers worldwide. Given these challenges, Halting production at its source is more cost-effective and impactful than attempting to control trade and sales afterwards. With our report, Zero Our Toxic Production, published today, including a case study on mercury-added SLPs produced in Pakistan, we are calling for urgent action to stop this toxic production at the source to protect vulnerable populations, particularly women and youth, who are disproportionately affected by these harmful products. We further comment on all the work from the GEF and UNEP, WHO, and BRI through the different projects, and we do appreciate being able to be part of those to assist countries in eliminating mercury-added skin lightening products. To accelerate progress globally, Zero Making Working Group recommends that COP6 adopts a decision strengthening the implementation of the convention by ensuring that 1, parties still lacking a strong regulatory setup are identified and supported, 2, manufacturers are identified and relevant countries adopt and enforce regulations with increased support for customs and surveillance authorities, 3, model demand reduction strategies are developed and implemented. The UNEP Global Mercury Partnership and other bodies, such as the Implementation and Compliance Committee and others, will be key to support the Secretariat, ensuring a fit and proper implementation and compliance with Article 4. In conclusion, Mr. President, the global ban on mercury in cosmetics is a major achievement. Now, we must ensure it is fully implemented. Zero Mercury Working Group calls on parties to act with urgency and unity to end this preventable source of mercury exposure once and for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Zero Mercury. So let's try to conclude this sub-agenda item. So we heard many voices supporting further work on mercury-added cosmetics, and I would say a general welcoming of CRP4, who was submitted by Gabon on behalf of the Africa region. We also heard some comments that the proposed text needs further refinement. I wouldn't say major amendments, but some minor adjustments. And so I would like to propose something innovative. I will ask Gabon, with the support of other delegates from the Africa region, to consult with those parties. I think at least I noted 3 parties that wanted to introduce some amendments to that CRP to talk in the margins of the COP and see if they can come to a clean text that they can propose to plenary, so we don't overload at this time, you know, at the end of the first day, the work of the contact group on technical matters. So as usual, now we enter into decision-making mode to see if that proposal is agreeable to you, or rather, should I say, or pose the question, do you have any objection to that proposal? I see no objections. It is so decided. So now we come to a happier moment. I see Switzerland requesting the floor for an announcement that you will welcome. Switzerland, please take the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. You caught me a little bit off guard here, but yeah, we would like to cordially invite you all to join the Swiss reception happening right now, directly after the end of the plenary. It's happening on the cafeteria floor, and we would love to spend a bit of a relaxing time with all of you before we move to the contact group. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Sorry to cut you off guard. You would sound so so much more pleasant if you say that in French. Please take the floor and say that in French.
Vous voulez que je refasse,
Would you like me to do it again, sir?
Monsieur le Président? Avec plaisir, Monsieur le Président.
With pleasure, sir. So let me repeat. Right after this plenary, which will be finishing in a few minutes' time, Switzerland is hosting a reception to which you are all invited. It would be our great pleasure to spend some time relaxing with you before you head off to your contact group meetings. Thank you, President. Thank you, Switzerland. You just scored 12 points.
I want to thank you, Switzerland, for the hospitality. On behalf of the Secretariat, the Bureau, myself, we very much thank your continued support. We will wait for all of you to go to the reception, but before, I just want to say we have 2 items that we didn't conclude. We have 4B, little Roman 4, on extension of exemptions, and also we still need to bring to plenary item 4A. Those items will be the first ones to see tomorrow in the morning session. And to finalize, Brenda, please go ahead with the announcements.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Just to confirm for this evening, the contact group on technical matters will be meeting in room A, and the room is available from 7 p.m. until 10 p.m. this evening. May I continue? Yeah. Okay, sure. The Secretariat also has a special initiative. The Secretariat will be extending special recognition to several parties and individuals this week. As we are all well aware, there are 2 components of the Minamata Convention financial mechanism: the Global Environment Facility and the Specific International Program. The Minamata Convention community has benefited greatly from both components of the financial mechanism. But today, we would like to extend special recognition to the donors of the Specific International Program. The Minamata Convention, as the administrator of the SIP, would like to extend special recognition to thank Austria, Denmark, France, Germany, the Kingdom of the Netherlands, Norway, Sweden, Switzerland, the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and the United States of America for your continued support to the SIP to support capacity building and technical assistance. We also acknowledge the generous support of the Government of Italy, who fully funded a junior professional officer post in the Secretariat for 2 years and co-funded it for a 3rd year. This support has been instrumental to the Secretariat in activating the SIP. We would like to invite a representative from each of the donor parties and from Italy to the stage for a moment of special recognition, and I will turn back to the President now. Thank you.
So, just a little bit of respect. Excuse me, just a little bit of respect when we have the Secretariat. This is a very special initiative. This is the people that make possible the implementation of the convention, so they deserve to be recognized. We invite those delegates, representatives of those countries, to the dais to take a picture and to be honored with a digital certificate. Thank you very much.
Nice.